What happens when your misogynistic rants online start influencing younger viewers into acting exactly how you preach?
Oh, come on, you finna get that action, Urkel.
See, that's exactly why girls can't beat boys at video games. Y'all are too emotional.
If you think I'm gonna take it easy on you in a tournament because you're a female, you're wrong.
Boy, if you call me female one more time.
In this episode of the Proud Family Louder and Prouder, Penny's friend KG constantly spews misogynistic rhetoric that girls aren't as good as things as boys are, and his attitude sparks conflict pitting the boys and girls against each other, and it all leads to a surprisingly dark twist. What's good, guys? It's Alissa. If you're new here, hello. First things first, y'all know I gotta get the formalities out of the way. I did get one comment saying that YouTubers do too much self-promotion. Your video should sell itself. If people want to be interested in your content, they'll just find out for themselves. And I'm here to say, if I'm willing to put advertisements in my videos and let other companies advertise on my videos, I can promote myself in my videos. So if you would like to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, all that information is in the description box down below. I also have a second channel where I'm going to be posting more lifestyle stuff, and I'm thinking I want to also post my reviews on like real life movies and TVs over there. I'm gonna go see him sometime this week, so I might post my review of that over there and keep the cartoon content over here. I also have a Sims channel where I post a lot of Sims content. If you're into Alissa and you're into The Sims, those two worlds collide. And of course, I always want to thank my patrons over on Patreon for the continued support. You guys see not only this video first, but other videos down the line. And I'm also thinking of doing weekly vlogs again, so stay tuned for that if you are a patron. But without further ado, let's get into it. The episode I'm going to be talking about today is the season 3 episode titled Game Changer. In this episode, Penny enters an esports gaming tournament and is immediately berated by the boys in the gaming world simply because she's a girl. The episode starts with Penny and her friends at Wiz and Buster's playing arcade games against their guy friends. The game they're playing specifically is a Dance Dance Revolution-esque one called Dance Crush, and apparently Dance Crush in this episode is based off a real-life arcade game by the name of Dance Rush Stardom. I never played that, I don't know nothing about that. KG is going against Zoe and ends up wiping the floor with her. And when he tries to say that she's good for a beginner, Zoe assumes that he's gonna say that she's good for a girl.
You did good for
what? For a girl?
No, for a beginner. But since you want to go there with an attitude, yeah, for a girl.
This shifts the tone of the entire outing, with all the girls going in on him and all the boys laughing at the girls. I'm assuming in this dynamic that KG is their group leader, the one who tells them to go grab the snacks out of the convenience store, not the one that actually goes and gets it, right? The immediate backlash from this statement makes all the boys gang up on the girls, saying that they will never be as good as them because they're too emotional and that boys are faster and smarter and stronger than the girls.
What does gender have to do with playing video games, noodlehead?
Everything. This is scientific fact. Boys are faster, stronger, and smarter than girls. Sorry, bro. It's just data.
And it's a fact. I'm about to punch you in your face.
Immediately at the start of this episode, I was a little bit shocked at the misogyny that KG was spewing. Knowing his very, I would assume, liberal household background, I assumed his viewpoint would come from a more progressive lens. However, just because he does have 2 dads does not absolve anyone from being misogynistic. Even women are not immune from being indoctrinated into misogynistic thinking. Based on what we hear coming out of his household, it seems more likely that he picked up these viewpoints from the time that he spends with his friends and the time he spends online. His sister Maya is practically the poster child for progressiveness, so the fact that he feels comfortable saying this stuff in front of everyone makes me think that he's only doing this to look cool in front of his friends, something that a lot of kids do once they leave the house. But honestly, I doubt KG could get away with spewing this kind of misogyny at home, even with the dynamic of his household being 3 boys and 1 girl. I can't see this kind of talk being ignored under their roof. So Penny calls out her boyfriend Kareem for being a follower and for being unusually silent in the matter, assuming he shares the same sentiment as the other boys. But Kareem disagrees that the boys are better than the girls, but clarifies that they're just not better than KG.
I knew my baby wasn't a chauvinist.
I just don't think y'all could beat KG.
This immediately enrages Penny and she challenges KG to dance crush. He tries his hardest, but Penny beats him in the same way that he beat Zoe. And from what he said earlier, I think it comes as no surprise that KG is a sore loser about this. He refuses to give Penny her props, saying that this wasn't a real video game anyway. Real video games are played at the E-Masters Sports Championship in the following week. So later that night at KG's house, he's on the game with his friends Darius, Kareem, Billy, and Myron. The entire gaming session is full of misogynistic statements referring to girls as females, which offends even the boys, more so because they're like, who are you calling a girl?
Little females ain't built for this.
Who you calling a female? KG stands for King Girl.
But their fun is interrupted by an anonymous player by the name of Copperhead, who is the big dog to these little puppies who are doing all this big bark. And KG's reign comes to an end when Copperhead makes him go KO. Some time passes and we're taken to the E-Masters Sports Championship tournament at Wiz and Buster's, where the prize to win is $25,000. No, sorry. $25,000 in Wiz coins that are only available to spend at any Wizard Kelly business, and it's crypto.
It's crypto, y'all.
And you can honestly play a drinking game with how many times they mention crypto in this season. Kareem is completely shocked to see Penny while he's enrolling to the tournament, finding out that Copperhead has not been a boy all this time, but Copperhead has been Penny.
Ain't no way a girl could compete against me, Mellow Cello, M Squared, Starboy, Copperhead. Hold up, you're Copperhead?
That's right, I'm Copperhead.
And I'm about to win this tournament.
Kareem is spooked because that means that Penny has heard every single conversation they had in these games and heard every single thing the boys have been saying about the girls, and he is immediately apologetic to her.
So you heard everything.
Uh-huh. Everything.
Listen, I just want you to know that I respect you as a girl. Anything you want, just let me know. I got you. Some food?
KG is shocked by this revelation, but he doesn't give it too much because he still believes Penny isn't good enough to win in this esports tournament. And I think this is a classic case of not only misogyny, but also how women's interests are stigmatized. Even in a situation where Penny steps into a male-dominated space and is good at it, somehow a negative is still found. And yes, Penny is going at the boys with the, girls rule, boys drool antics, but that only comes after KG started it.
We're girls, we're bad, we kick that brother.
To me, Penny is just putting on a strong face and throwing their energy back at them. But because she's a girl, her response is seen as overreacting or emotional. And one thing I noticed, and even in my own comment sections and making these videos, is the exact moment where people become uncomfortable in the topics that you are discussing. I'll break down something with as much nuance and multiple perspectives as I can, but someone will latch onto one specific thing that they don't like, nitpick it, and completely tune out to the bigger conversation and the bigger point that I'm trying to make, or even that the episode is trying to make. So if you're still watching this with open ears, hello, welcome. But if you've got underlying misogyny issues and aren't open to having a genuine conversation about how it shows up in every aspect of our life, please refrain from the "well, actually" comments. Thank you. Media for boys and girls is so separated that even toys are marketed differently. Like dolls versus action figures. Like, what the hell is the true difference? Girls get dolls, boys get action figures, and action figures are framed as cool only because they aren't dolls. Same thing with colors and interest and personality traits. Girls like pink. Girls wear skirts, girls have crushes, and that's coded as uncool. But when girls start to take interest in traditionally cool things marketed to boys, like anime for instance, especially in the shonen genre, they're immediately questioned. People assume they're pretending, and they have to prove their knowledge just to be taken seriously in the interests and hobbies that they have. It's basically a lose-lose situation. The problem isn't the media or the hobbies. The problem is is that they're girls, and the fact that girls are liking it somehow makes it less valuable. There was a conversation about Pilates online earlier, and this is not about misogyny, but it makes me think about how when Black people start to come into spaces, it also is seen as less valuable. Different conversation for a different day, but boys gatekeep their interests because it's their sense of identity and they feel like it's being threatened. And this is no different with video games. Girls are expected to play cozy games or The Sims, while boys dominate the world of first-person shooters and other serious games. KG is really good at video games, so good that he uses his talent to elevate himself above the boys in his friend group. But when Penny comes along, who's good at everything, I think arguably in this show, because she's the main character of course, and arguably better than KG, he immediately feels threatened. How could something he prides himself on being the best at gaming amongst his friends suddenly be outshined by a girl? Penny and her friends are riding this high at the arcade, and they're so amused at Penny winning all these games and even beating some of KG's high scores. Of course, the only person unimpressed is KG, who says that the E-Master Sports Tournament is a whole nother level that she is not on, revealing that he only let Penny win in the original game of Dance Crush, showing everyone that he's actually really good at it, literally beating the game with one foot tied behind his back.
Dang, Penny, he crushed you with one leg tied behind his back. I didn't even know you could tie a leg behind your back.
This infuriates Penny, and she goes off on Kareem for being friends with someone like him. But Kareem says, hold on, back up. Don't try to flip this on me as if I'm just a bad person for being friends with someone like KG, when I doubt that you agree with a lot of the things that your friends say, and yet here y'all are still being friends after all these years.
You got your crew, I got my crew. Look, don't tell me you agree with everything 𝙈𝙗𝙪𝙗𝙧 says, or 𝙎𝙪𝙗𝙪𝙗𝙧, or Maya. But he's right about one thing, Penny. You gotta step your game up.
And he low-key clocked her, but still, it's no excuse to keep harmful company. Like, the best part of friendship is being able to call each other in, not out, and to have an open dialogue and explain how certain words or behaviors that your friends exhibit can be harmful and still have that friendship survive after these hard conversations. And let me put this in this part, but I talk about the Proud Family because I actually love the show. I grew up on this show, so it has a very special place in my heart. So I was very excited when it came back for season 3. But here on YouTube, the Proud Family commentary has taken a whole life of its own. I feel like a lot of people who never watched the original show or the reboot are overly critical of the show, and especially of 𝙎𝙪𝙗𝙪𝙗 in my opinion. The narrative that she's a terrible friend has snowballed, and people love to dogpile, so that's no surprise. But for me, as a Black woman consuming Black-centered media, I feel like I'm a little bit protective over these characters. You'll notice that I don't harp too much on how bad Penny's friends are because I understand the impact of my words on such a public platform, and I can be critical because y'all know I am, but I don't want to feed in on the pile-on against young Black characters, real or fake, because it can reinforce harmful biases that people already hold. Even Maya, who is, yes, sometimes annoying, gets way more vitriol than she deserves, especially these characters are in middle school. And especially when the show clearly gives us characters to like and dislike, like 𝙈𝙗𝙪𝙗𝙧, who is constantly mean to everyone. And yet, Penny still remains friends with her, word to Kareem's point. And I'm not saying that you have to like every single character in the show, but sometimes the unconscious bias that y'all have sometimes shows up when we discuss these characters. I try to approach my commentary with as much care as possible because I do love this show. I love Black-centered stories. I love Black people, and I don't want my critique to fuel negativity that can spill over into how people view Black characters in media more broadly. Anyway, Kareem reassures Penny that KG doesn't actually mean what he says and that he's saying this to look cool in front of the guys.
King Great, I'm out of here.
Penny, he doesn't really mean all that. He just says it for the guys.
But he is right that Penny needs to step her game up if she's gonna go against KG, who is objectively the best. But Penny denies that she's even fazed by his trash talk, saying that she'll be just fine. Word to Mary J. Blige.
Hold up, step my game up? You can step aside. I got this, you heard me? Boy, bye. Yeah, boy! Get on with your too tall self!
But she is fazed. When Kareem walks away, we see that she's affected by the things that KG is saying and starts to doubt her gaming abilities.
What if I'm not good enough to be in the tournament?
No! Don't you dare doubt yourself! If you start now, you'll be doubting yourself the rest of your life.
But she ends up taking Kareem's advice and steps her game up just in time for the tournament. When the announcer reveals to everyone that Copperhead is a girl, the whole crowd starts to boo her. Penny washes the floor with every single opponent, and by the next tournament, the stadium is packed with new people.
Where did all these people come from?
They follow me on Glitch. I've got over 1 million followers.
You mean 1 million girls? Look, nobody care about that. It ain't the same thing.
No, most of my followers are little boys. Just like you.
That's because you cute.
What?
Kinda.
KG, of course, tries to downplay her success by saying that she only has these followers because she's cute. This throws off Kareem, because if I didn't make it obvious, Kareem is Penny's boyfriend. So not only does he not call out his friends for being misogynistic towards Penny, he also doesn't make it a big deal that KG called her cute. Okay, and I've said this before, but a lot of times the show picks and chooses when it's time to take Kareem and Penny's relationship seriously. In the very first episodes of this season, Penny and DeJohnette are in Paris and oogling and googly-eyed over some boys they met out there. More DeJohnette than Penny, of course. Then in the young toddler episode, I swear there was a moment at the end where the writers were trying to make Penny and Billy Chang, who's one of KG's friends, share this unspoken romantic slow gaze into each other's eyes, and I'm just sitting here like, doesn't Penny have a boyfriend? So when KG calls Penny cute, it feels weird because even within the show itself, nobody actually treats Penny and Kareem's relationship like it's serious. But of course, that's just me. Finish the season and tell me what y'all think. And I mean actually watch the show and form your own opinions. Because one thing I've noticed about being a commentary YouTuber is that people will have conversations with you and then regurgitate someone else's point without actually consuming the media that the person in the video was talking about. Then you question them about it and kind of pick and pry because like this is a dialogue, and they can't give you anything deeper because they've never actually watched or read the content that the person is talking about. The things that they say are literally just something they heard from another person's video. Please, y'all, let's start formulating our own opinions. As a creator, you can always tell when something that you edited, scripted yourself is being said by somebody else. And especially when the things that you guys are repeating as if it's your own words are from people that are huge creators that everybody watches. Like, you're not slick. Watching a video essay is not the same as doing your own research and coming to your own conclusions. Some of y'all out here being some fake intellectuals and I'm clocking tea. Anyway, Zoe is appalled at KG's constant vitriol and tells Maya that she had no idea her brother was such a freaking misogynist.
Wow, Maya. I didn't know your brother was such a misogynist.
Neither did I.
Look, I'm a realist. Boys are better than girls at video games, and that's just facts.
And Penny is so mad and she just cannot wait to beat him in the finals. But to get to KG, she has to beat someone by the name of Damien the Destroyer, who is undefeated. Of course, she ends up whooping this player, and I mean literally whooping him and taking home the win. And while he's crying about it, the girls are doing their celebratory dance. After each day, Penny goes on stream and celebrates her wins, where it's usually positive vibes and girl power, word to the Cheetah Girls. However, this night is different. Someone comes into the chat and ends up accusing her of cheating and a bunch of other nasty accusations like she's hacking the game to win.
Hashtag boys stay pressed. Hacker? Me?
And this completely gets to Penny, who would never do something like that. The accusations went on for so long that people actually started to believe it. And these rumors spread like wildfire by the time she got to school. The only person who believes that she's cheating is, of course, 𝙈𝙗𝙗𝙧𝙗𝙧. And things spiral way too far and Penny ends up getting doxxed.
Penny, you've been doxxed. They posted my phone number and address and your passwords to your social media accounts and your baby picture.
And with these accusations, Penny is booed once again once she's back at the tournament. Penny is completely out of her game due to this, and she looks exhausted and defeated, like she doesn't want to be there. Then here comes Damien the Destroyer, laughing, telling KG that he didn't know it was going to be this easy to get inside her head, revealing that Damien the Destroyer is the one that started the rumors about her hacking the game and is also the one that doxed her.
I'm the one that started the hacking rumor, and I doxed her.
You?
Yup, made her cry just the way she made me cry. And now that she's out, all the finalists are boys, the way it should be.
Basically following the lead of the things that KG has been spewing at Penny this whole time. KG calls him a little jerk, and Damien the Destroyer is like, whoa now. You're the one that said girls don't belong in a tournament, making KG realize the impact of his words.
You're a little jerk, you know that?
Whoa, wait a minute. You said it yourself. Girls don't belong in this tournament.
I was just talking trash, trying to get inside her head.
I'm 10. How am I supposed to know the difference?
He tries to clean it up, telling Damien that he was just talking trash, trying to get inside her head. And I personally don't think that that's a good excuse. Now, mind you, every character in this show is a child, so I'm not putting too much weight on their choices and decisions, but I loved the direction that this episode took. At first, you think it's just going to be an episode about misogyny and how women don't belong in these male-dominated spaces, and it is, but it also shows from the very beginning how KG's comments rile everybody up, even to the point where the crowd is booing Penny when she walks into the arena. Kareem even calls out KG, saying that he's just doing this to look cool in front of his friends. By the end, KG tries to excuse it by saying that he was just trying to get into Penny's head. But here's the thing. I always say, if you're gonna put your opinions out on a public platform, whether you think you have influence or not, or whether you think that you absolve yourself of influence just because you say that you don't have influence or you're not an influencer, there are people listening and watching and taking you seriously. And a lot of them are kids. Whether you think that your demographic is not high in children viewers, there are still kids that watch your content. And I feel like you always have to keep that in mind. Some people should really just pick up that controller and play the damn game without opening their mouths, but of course everyone feels like their opinions need to be broadcasted to the world. And I feel like this is especially prevalent in this current era of streamers. They always say that they don't make content for kids, but then they don't flag their content for 18 and up, because they definitely give you that option. Shoot, I see some simmers mark their content as mature just because the sims be woohooing. And that game I think is only 13 and up. If that were really the case, that they don't make content for kids, they'd mark their videos as mature. Instead, they're hosting 24-hour sleepovers, playing hide and seek in the mall, and turning their houses into giant ball pits. These are things that are clearly designed to appeal to kids. So don't say your audience isn't children when children are half the people keeping your numbers up. And they know that once they mark their content as 18 and up, they're going to lose half their viewers. Mind you, they also be promoting gambling. That's another conversation for another day. I may have come out of my mama's coochie, but I was not born yesterday. I also think this episode is a direct nod to a real life incident with a streamer named Sneeko. Mind you, just like somebody else who recently made the news for the content on their podcast being extremely controversial, they shall remain unnamed. I have no idea who these people are. Like, legitimately, y'all will watch anybody. Who the hell are these people? I genuinely don't know who these people are until they're trending for something crazy. And I just feel like I'm very conscious of the content that I consume. If I see something and I'm like, I'm not gonna like this, I'm not watching it. Like, I'm not gonna watch it. Sometimes, I ain't gonna say all the time, sometimes I do. Not all the time. And that's because I'm a conscious consumer as an adult. Children are easily indoctrinated into ideals of the people that they watch. That's why we have, or had, networks like Nick Jr., Disney Jr., PBS Kids, spaces specifically for fun and games and education, because that's all that children should be consuming, period. So anyway, what happened was some of these kids walked up to this specific streamer and started repeating stuff like, "We hate women and we hate trans people." And the streamer looked shocked hearing it come out of literally no older than some preteens' mouths. And it's like, yeah, that's what it sounds like when you say it too. The only difference is when you do it is for views, clicks, and money. And that's the danger of pretending that your influence doesn't exist. And it's not just kids who are influenced, adults be influenced too. Most people don't even realize that half the stuff that comes in front of their screens is literally an advertisement. A lot of creators don't even mark their videos or content as #ad. I'm putting these products in front of you and this is an ad. I'm not talking about specific things because I'm being paid for my silence, pretty much. There's rarely ever any authenticity in these spaces because the bottom line is money. Whether somebody is spewing hate speech and getting paid for it, or literally getting paid to promote gambling and make it seem like it's this cool, fun thing that everybody needs to hop on the bandwagon and do. Even as an adult, I know I personally can be influenced. If a creator that I respect, or at the very least like, says something or uses a product, I'm most likely gonna put in my mind that they're a reliable source without doing deep research. And that's why individualism and thinking for yourself is so important. Don't just parrot what your favorite podcaster or creator or streamer says. Keep your own mind, because as high as these people rise, they will eventually fall, and another one will replace them, of course. And while this episode censors KG's misogyny, let's be real. What people say in these online parties are way worse. I don't even play online games, but I hear it. And in these spaces, it's just seen as okay. The language in these parties are wild, and just because it's normalized does not mean that it's okay. And that's why I'm saying that individualism matters once again. What does it say about you? If you never use hate speech in your everyday life, but the second you hop online, you're parroting the same toxicity because that's just the culture. Is it a fear of being outcasted? Do you feel like it's pointless to push back, or do you just not give a damn? And from what I've seen, plus I just have teenage brothers, a lot of these lobbies are filled with grown adults playing alongside kids. Like, what even is this environment? Like, sure, games and stuff has rules and bans, but at the end of the day, it's not just about the enforcement, it's about shifting the culture of these spaces. Because honestly, being called a girl is genuinely the least of somebody's worries in these parties. KG brings this revelation to the girls that Damien is the person behind the rumors, but only tells her that Damien did this because she made him cry, not the part where he was motivated by KG himself to attack Penny.
Damien's the one that started all the rumors.
Why would he do that?
Penny, she made him cry, so he got even. You gotta come back, Penny.
Why? Damien may have started the lie, but you didn't do anything to stop it.
And not even Penny is going for this, because he's the one that started this in the first place and didn't do anything to stop it. While remorseful, but absolutely no accountability whatsoever, KG still wants her to compete. In the end, we reach the finals and KG and Penny finally go against each other. And I bet you want to know who wins this one. Literally the moment we've all been waiting for.
Does that sound like something you want?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you, you'll never get it.
We don't actually see who wins this round, so we're just gonna have to use our imaginations. Wizard Kelly announces the winner of the E-Master Sports Championship, and the winner is...
Red winner, y'all!
Who the hell is this? It turns out Breadwinner was also a girl all along. So Penny wasn't the only girl competing in this tournament, just the only front-facing one. Breadwinner ends up giving Penny props, saying that Copperhead inspired her to be anyone that she wanted to be and that she shares this victory with Penny. Everyone is happy in the end except for Damien the Destroyer. I think this episode is a great example of influence and who gets influenced. While it was kind of left field, KG feels like the natural choice to be the vehicle for this story because, like, let's be honest, who else were they gonna use? The other boys in the show just seems like side characters, but KG is directly tied to Maya, who's one of the new additions of main characters in this show, so his role carries a little more weight in my opinion. That said, I personally think the better ending would have been if they somehow got Zoe to be breadwinner. Like, I don't know if she's actually good at video games or not, but like everything else in the show is fantastical, so like they could have fit it in somewhere. Because remember, all of this started with KG versus Zoe. So if they were somehow able to kind of loop it back and have Zoe beat not only KG but Penny, I think the ending would have landed a little bit better. That's just a nitpick for me, but I think it would have just tied it all together. I also think a lot of viewers walked away focusing on the fact that KG was being misogynistic and missed what I believe to be the bigger point of this episode, was that he thought that his words had no impact when in reality they had a very real harmful impact on the person he was targeting, which was Penny. And that's exactly what I mean when I talk about how people get stuck on the one thing that triggers them, misogyny, and then close their ears to the rest of the message. The episode wasn't perfect, of course, but it tackled a lot of different themes that are very relevant in today's age. And I love that the reboot leaned into this because in today's world, everyone's online presence, big or small, has influence. Whether you're a huge creator or just somebody with a handful of followers, somebody is out there listening to you and somebody is being influenced. But anyway, y'all know I always leave y'all with a closing question. Do you think the show handled this topic in a way that resonates with today's culture, or do you think they missed the mark on this one? I actually think they did pretty good, but of course, y'all let me know down in the comments. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you would like to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. All that information is in my description box down below. If you made it to the end, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked the video, and please be sure to subscribe to the channel if you would like to stick around, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with posts and uploads from me. But for now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.